Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Austin Scholes for this one. Amy is resolving the Chapter 1 ability of Restoration of Eiganjo, and she wants to get Eiganjo Castle. Is this possible? Alright, so I've got some bad news for Amy, which is that this is unfortunately not going to work. And the reason is because the game does not consider Eiganjo Castle to be a plains. You see, if you take a look in the comprehensive rules, there's a specific definition for what it means to be a plains. A plains is a land type, and so therefore, if you've got that land type, then you're a plains. If you don't have that land type, then you're not considered to be a plains. As you can see on the card, Eiganjo Castle does not have the land type plains, and so therefore, the game does not consider it to be a plains, even though it does share some certain characteristics that we might typically associate with being a plains. The game doesn't see the land type, so it doesn't count. So in among the most amusing flavor fails of this generation, you're not able to get Eiganjo Castle with Restoration of Eiganjo. You're also not going to be able to get the other Eiganjo for the exact same reason. It also doesn't have the plains type, so that means it's also not going to be considered a plains. Wow. Alright, well that's kind of a bummer. Let's see if there's something more exotic that we could get with the Restoration of Eiganjo. Maybe something like an Idyllic Grange. And if you take a look at this card, we can see we're already off to a really good start. The type line of this card does indeed include the word plains, which means that the game does consider this card to be a plains. However, if you take a look at the Restoration of Eiganjo, it specifies that we need to get a basic plains. And just like in the case of being a plains, the game rules also have a definition of what it means to be basic. And, as you can see, that means you would have to have the super type basic on the card. And guess what? The Idyllic Grange does not have the super type basic, and so that means it would not be considered a basic plains. It's a non-basic land. So that is a real bummer. We're not able to get any of the cool stuff that we thought that we might be able to get with the Restoration of Eiganjo. Isn't there something that we could do that would be a little bit more fun than just getting a normal, boring plains? And, well, there is something that we could do. If you take a look at this snow-covered plains, we'll see that the type line of this card actually does have the super type basic, and it does have the subtype plains, just like what we need. And so that means that even though this is not a normal, boring, everyday plains, it does count as a basic plains as far as the game is concerned. And so that means it would be possible for you to get this card with the Restoration of Eiganjo. Unfortunately, it turns out that this question is actually kind of difficult to answer if you aren't actually looking at the oracle text for the card in question. For example, there have been several printings of the snow-covered plains throughout Magic's history, however, only a few of them are modern enough to have the card templating that is updated enough to have the word basic and the word plains written right on the type line, which is what we require. For a lot of them, it doesn't show up at all, and you would only know that it counted as a basic plains if you were to look up the oracle text. So, unfortunately, there's not a way you can make this determination 100% foolproof just by looking at what appears on the card or in the illustration. There's a lot of ways that you can get misled if you aren't looking at the actual factual oracle text. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.